called baby making hips, where it's like they're hips that are just slightly wider than the shoulders. K-On! Is a really good example of that.
Baby making hips, they look like they're 12.
When has that ever stopped
Oh
anybody?
my god.
Hello, FBI?
What's the FBI do? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, I have our czar of source material, John.
Hi.
And our chivalry of Shota, Shotaro.
Oh my god, Becky.
Was that supposed to be a Sir Mix-a-Lot reference?
Yes, I knew you would get it because you have a very old personality.
I knew you were going to go there. It's fuck you calling me old.
But I don't want none if you ain't got buns,
hun.
Exactly.
I want to say that's a great way to segue into what we're talking about, but it's not really.
It is, actually.
Is it? Okay, well then please segue us into this, because I don't know how.
All right, speaking of overly voluptuous women, tonight we're going to be talking about KyoAni.
Well, unless we're talking about voluptuous eyes.
I don't know, man. Have you seen the thighs on Rika?
Okay, yeah, you're right. I take it all back.
You see Senpai, she thick, boy.
Yeah, we are. Tonight we are going to be talking about one of my personal favorite studios, Kyoto Animation. We talked about this a few months ago about doing like a retrospective show around Kyoto Animation, and we finally got around to it. So the first thing I want to talk about very briefly, I want to talk about the early history of Kyoto Animation. It's hard to believe, and a lot of people probably don't realize this, but Kyoto Animation was founded all the way back in 1981, 9 years before I was even born. And it was founded by a husband and wife duo, Hideaki Hata and Yoko Hata. They were employed at Mushi Production, which is a production studio that was originally founded by Osamu Tezuka, the father of anime. He was the one who came up with Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion. But yeah, they were working there. It's sort of analogous to Studio Trigger. There was a bunch of people there that got kind of fed up with how things are being run there, and like, fine, we're going to go start our own thing. And they did. They went and they founded Kyoto Animation back in 1981.
Okay, hold on. You said Kimba the White Lion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the show that Disney ripped off of and made The Lion King from?
It is. It was originally a movie. Oh no, it was originally a TV series, then made into a movie. The movie, I think, is the one that originally came to the West, and then Disney in the 90s essentially ripped off most of the story components of Kimba the White Lion, and
they even made the main character named Simba. Oh my god!
They even
Disney.
made the main character's name in The Lion King rhyme with the main character's name in Kimba the White Lion. Yeah, so fuck you, Disney. Also, they even stole animation cues from Kimba the White Lion. Fuck Disney. But from the time they were founded back in 1981 to almost all the way through to the early 2000s, they really didn't do full-on anime productions. They basically just did like in-between animations. They did colorings. They did a lot of the in-between work that you saw for other studios. They were never like a main studio that worked on anything, unless you count in 1991 they did do an OVA series, which I believe it was either a 1 or 2 episode OVA series called Shiwasete Nani back in July of 1991. But their very first full-on anime production was, John, what was it?
Fumofu.
Fumofu, Full Metal Panic Fumofu. Back in 2003. I was 13 years
So
old.
they took 20 plus years after founding to make their first anime television series.
Unless you count the OVA that they did make in 1991.
And it
yes.
wasn't even like their original series. They just took it from someone else. That is
All right.
funny.
They
So-
did, yeah. The first season of Full Metal Panic was done by Studio Gonzo.
Well,
That explains why Fumofu and Second Barrage. Is that what it was called? Second
Second Raid.
Second Raid. Yeah, Second Barrage is Black Lagoon.
Yes, it is.
Second Raid had such a different animation style, and Fumofu was completely different because they're like, if you don't know anything about Full Metal Panic, the first season, it's very action oriented. It's about mechas and like war, and it has like kind of this slice of life comedy aspect to it. And then after season 1, it kind of goes into Fumofu, and Fumofu is like straight up just slice of life comedy. No more action, no more mecha fighting. It's just fucking comedy. And I actually liked Fumofu more than I liked season 1 and season 2 because I really liked the slice of life aspect and the comedy of the characters more than I liked the action. The action was stupid in my opinion, but
Well, the more Full Metal Panic has one of those stories where the more you think about it, the less sense it actually makes.
well, it's because it had such a huge split. It's like Guilty Crown, okay?
oh
where it's
God,
like, hey,
back
we're
to
gonna do...
Guilty
Here
Crown.
we go, back to this again. Jesus Christ.
No, it's like Guilty Crown because it's like, hey, we have this like subplot that's actually gonna be the main plot, but we're gonna just go through all this like stupid ass slice of life shit first and make it seem like it's just a high school slice of life with quirky aspects, and then all of a sudden, bam, now we're all into the serious hard shit and war is happening. There's people dying and we're a very serious anime. I'm like, yeah, but you literally fucking 12 episodes ago were having a dude dress up in a fucking Gonto, whatever the fucking little rat thing is, and shooting people with fucking rubber bullets. Like,
Shooting people in the ass with rubber bullets.
yeah, it's like it's so big of a gap, you know, and it's kind of weird. That's why I didn't like Full Metal Panic that much, because you know when you get into it, it's all action, and then it suddenly becomes all slice of life, and then it goes back to full on action. It comes back even harder than it was. Like main character lead guy goes like dark depressed mode, and I need to destroy the evil. The lambda drives. Like. Anyway, yeah, Full Metal Panic's not right. It's all right. It's not that great. I definitely think that the person who created Full Metal Panic, they also created, I believe, Amagi Brilliant Park.
What?
It looks exactly the same. It looks exactly the same.
Wait, as in like
And
the
even-
manga?
I want to say yes. I don't know very much because I don't care that
Lol.
much about Full Metal Panic. Yeah, this is right. But I remember when Amagi Brilliant Park came out. They even have the little rat guy as one of the main characters.
Yes, they are both written by the same person,
There's such
Okay, that
different
makes a lot of
stories.
sense.
Shoji Gato.
So, and then I loved Amagi Brilliant Park because they embraced the whole like, hey, let's just do the whole comedy slice of life thing. And I'm like, yes, I love this.
Yeah, I mean I would say that's Amagi Brilliant Park's biggest strong suit. It's like it takes like the style of Full Metal Panic and let's just make this a raucous comedy.
I see no relation between those two anime at all.
Have you seen Amagi Brilliant Park?
Yes.
Okay, I just see there to be like I think there's a comparison between the two there.
I would
Okay.
say that the only reason I realized it was probably made by the same guy was because of the fucking rat character, right? The Fumofu
That helps,
guy.
yes.
Like the oh my god, and the fact that like now it's canon that they're in the same universe. So I'm like, wait a second now. So we have magical princess lady, and then also like theme parks, and this theme park character is real. So that means the lambda drives and mechs are also real in this universe.
So okay, so it's funny you say that because one of the things that I noticed, when I went and saw the Chinibya movie, the Love Chinibya No the Delusions movie, Take on Me, which I'm still salty that they didn't use that song for the Edie song. When I went and saw that, one of the things that you see in the background of a lot of the scenes is you see places that are shown in other KyoAni works. So I wonder if KyoAni wants her to be like a KyoAni cinematic universe where like all their works take place in the same universe.
That'd be so strange considering how many works they have.
I know.
You've got science, and then you've got the magic sides. You got giant mechas fighting space wars and shit. Like, hold on, this is all happening in the same timeline? Like, is it a Disney thing or a Pixar thing where it's like the same cinematic universe but just different time places?
I mean, listen, there's a lot of these shows that there are a lot of these anime that they've done where I could actually picture them being in the same universe. Like, so I guess it is canon because you see it in the Chinibya movie that the Chinibyo universe and the Tamago Market universe is the same. Takes place in the same setting because you actually see one of the settings from Tamago Market in the movie.
And then in freaking Clannad, there was the Air. The characters from Air were in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Oh, and then you have Yuki and Kyon show up in Lucky Star.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. You've heard it here, folks. KyoAni.
KyoAni cinematic universe.
It's canon.
It's real. Which is another name of one of their shows.
Oh, canon. So sad.
Oh, canon is really sad.
Speaking of canon, I want to talk about how canon was my very first KyoAni anime.
Was it your first?
It was. I remember I was like just searching through Crunchyroll's app, and like it was on my Wii. I remember, and I was like, yeah, oh, here's a show. Let's watch it. And I was just like, it's super cutesy and bug-eyed, but I was like, it was kind of just like whatever because the animation's not very good. Which is weird to think because, you know, KyoAni, as we know it today, has, like, beautiful freaking animation and art style and stuff. Like, think of, like, Free or think of Violet Evergarden. And then you go back to, like, the early 2000s and you got shit like Air and Canon. And you're just like, oh, what the fuck happened here? Like, what are these monstrosities?
It may be worth noting that Canon was their first attempt at doing a multi-season long anime, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Of why the animation was bad?
Yeah, it's because prior to Canon, the longest production they'd ever had was 14 episodes, and that was the first season of Haruhi.
Okay, and see, Haruhi has a completely different art style, and that's probably thanks to the manga. It looks like they didn't try to keep the same like early 2000s. KyoAni, you can definitely tell it was KyoAni. You know, you got the antenna
bug
hair
eyes
and the big bug eyes, and that's like literally their call sign. You know, it's like, oh, that's KyoAni. Clannad's like that, Air's like that, Canon's like that. But I
all the adaptations they've ever done of Key's visual novels have looked like that.
So maybe it's just kind of a Key thing, right? Early Key.
Well, yeah. Key's visual novels have a very distinctive style as well. So, yeah, maybe they were just trying to go with, you know, staying true to that. And it just kind of incidentally became their own style.
I also didn't know Haruhi was made by KyoAni.
What?
That's news to me. Yeah, I didn't know that.
You didn't realize that?
It's like one of their most
No.
iconic shows.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na.
Oh, God, no. God, so that takes me back to like the times when people did the Hara Yukai dance. Like any convention you went to, there was always a group of people trying to do the Hara Yukai dance back in like 2006, 2007, 2008.
Yo, it's lit though.
It looks good in animation form. I have never seen someone try to do it and not look like a complete and utter shitbag.
Wow.
It looks so. You can't do it by yourself, and you got to have a group of people because it's a dance where you got to have a group of people.
That's so hard. You know weebs don't have friends.
I know, which is why you shouldn't attempt this by yourself. Oh god, this takes me back to like mid 2000s anime conventions. Just that and glomping and never
What a
again.
horrible time. Not that I would know about that because I was just born 5 years ago. Speaking of Haruhi,
You're very well spoken for a 5-year-old.
thank you. I am a child prodigy, I have been told. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Haruhi was my first KyoAni show. I'm not entirely sure. I only started watching anime in like 2011. So, and Haruhi came out in 2006. So I'm not entirely sure what order I watched their shows. But I remember watching Haruhi on Funimation because they advertised it well, and I'm like, whatever, I'll watch your stupid show. And it wasn't bad. So
Something I just found out because I'm looking at it right now. So the guy who wrote the original Haruhi light novels is a fucking lawyer.
what?
He has a law degree.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That law degree really came in handy. Not really.
Wow, what a turn that he's made in his life. I clicked on his name and it's like the first thing is he's a graduate with a law degree. It's like, okay.
Did you guys watch Haruhi? What order did you watch it in?
That's a really good question.
Because I've heard a lot.
I watched it.
Go ahead.
I watched it as it aired, so it made zero
God,
sense.
John.
Yeah,
Wait,
I did when I originally.
So I hear people saying you should watch it as it aired, and it'll eventually make sense. And I'm like, girl, no. It makes like you didn't. It didn't make sense for you, John. I assume.
No, it didn't make sense, but I was like, whatever. It's a weird show in general. You got aliens, espers, robots from the future or some shit. Like, it's weird as a show in general. So I didn't mind. It didn't make sense because like some things happened and I'm like, there was no context for why they're filming Mikurin and this fucking laser eye shit right now. And then like 10 episodes later, it's like, oh yeah, it's because we had to do it for this. I'm like, oh, well, what the fuck?
That was a stupid.
Mikuru, I was about to say the exact same thing.
I would just say that was a stupid idea to air it out of order.
And then of course it leads to this question of what order should you actually watch it in. There's like 5 different orders you can watch it in, and I'm like, no, bitch, I'm gonna watch it in one order.
What order
I'm
is
like
that?
John, though. I'm like John though. I originally did watch this in the order that it was aired. And it did indeed make zero sense. I have since gone back and rewatched it in chronological order. It makes more sense, but I still won't say it makes a whole lot of sense. But I would say chronological order is the way you should watch it.
Good.
It's just a confusing show in general, but I enjoyed it because it looked good and God knows it was a great song. I love that.
Aya Hirano had like so much potential to become like the queen of anime, and then she just took a shit on all of her fans.
Wasn't it because she kept banging all her bandmates? And
well, yeah, because she was in a band.
a...
She was in a band and she banged everyone except the drummer.
Oh, that's so sad.
And apparently she was. I know, pour one out for the drummer, I guess. But yeah, apparently she was banging all of them at the same time. So,
dude, that's great. That fulfills all of my fantasies of all my voice actresses, you know?
And apparently, I don't know how true all of this is, but apparently she didn't limit her extracurricular activities, shall we say, to her bandmates.
Did she bang some fans?
I don't think it's ever been confirmed, but would you be surprised?
I mean, dude, that's dope. But, you know, again, that's because it's a difference in, like, cultures, right? Here in America, it's, like, kind of... Yeah, you can play that promiscuous role as, like, a rocker or whatever. But in Japan, if you want to be, like, an entertainer or an idol, they really like pure, innocent stuff.
And then that came out and nobody liked her anymore. I mean...
In the land that created Netorare, NTR, they love pure stuff, right? It's so confusing.
Go figure.
It's like, it's okay for our porn to be all jacked up and shit, but you can't do that in real life.
So I want to get getting back to KyoAni
Yeah.
and away from fucking voice actors banging everything that moves. So we've been talking about some of our introduction to KyoAni as a studio. And we've talked a little bit about this, but I want to ask you guys, what do you think actually makes KyoAni so unique and special in the anime industry? Because there's a lot of people, myself included, who have a soft spot for this studio.
So, don't let it fool you. I've seen like 99% of all the KyoAni shows they've ever made, and that was by pure accident. Like, I didn't even know half of these were like KyoAni made. We have a list of the animeography. How the fuck do you say that?
Animeography. It's a word I just made up.
Oh, God, freaking Canadians. Anyway, so in this filmography of KyoAni, I remember going through the list like a couple of days ago. I was like, hey, I've seen like almost all of these shows except like maybe 3 or 4, and I was surprised because I was like, I didn't even know. But they definitely have a certain like cute style, like the cute moe style that I'm attracted to. I love cute things, all things cute. Not all their shows are cutely made. Like Fullmetal Panic Fumofu was definitely cute, but the art style was not like their regular art style, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's mostly because they took over after the first season from Studio Gonzo, and I think Gonzo kind of shoehorned them into a specific style.
And it seems like you were saying, like when they adapted the key visuals, visual novels. That's what they make. Fuck, I was about to say light novels for a second. They tend to try to stick to the style of the
source.
Of the source, yes. And a good example of that is like in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. The author of that series, of all their other series, it's the exact same style. Like I can't understand what my husband is saying. That's by the same person who made Dragon Maid, and it's the exact same style of like character drawings. So I think KyoAni, when they're not doing like their own beautiful Violet Evergarden like type of work, that they try to stick to the source materials, like visualization of what it's supposed to look like, which is cool, like I love it when people stick to source, because source is best. Not always the case, but it's a cool little thing for me.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Violet Evergarden. That was something that was technically done in house, because something else that KyoAni does is they have a I don't want to call it like a school, but it's like a publishing house for up and coming light novel authors.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Violet Evergarden was done through that publishing house, which was attached to the studios. So they were kind of free to experiment with a style all their own with that.
Yeah, except their style. All right, here's something else that I find interesting about KyoAni. It seems like they put in a lot more effort into their OPEDs than their actual show when it comes to animation.
See example A in K-On!
So like, yeah, in K-On! Or also in like in Tamako Market, like the ED is done beautifully and it's super simple, but the art style looks so fucking beautiful compared to the actual show. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? I love this ED and I love how it looks and how it sounds, but why is your animation quality so much higher on the ED than it is on the show? What the shit, dude?
I'm not gonna like deride them, because the their OPs and their EDs are typically really great.
That's just something that I noticed. It's like that for Haruhi as well, when they do the Haruhi Yukai, like with all the dancing and the animation. I'm like, it's a lot smoother than the show is. Like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck, KyoAni? Why do you blow your budget on the OPs and EDs, man? Spread that shit around. Sprinkle it around, man. Come on.
So something else that's kind of unique for Kyoto Animation is in the anime industry, a lot of animators are freelance, so they'll bounce between studio to studio, whereas Kyoto Animation likes to actually hire their animators and keep them in-house for as long as possible, so that they can, have help them grow as animators, where they're not constantly looking for work. They can sit and focus on actually creating animation. And I think that's something that's really unique about that studio that you don't really see a whole lot of.
Which is really smart of them, because it's like when you have a bunch of animators that deliver a certain type of quality, it stays very consistent throughout their shows. Like when you look at like K-On! Or Chunibyo or even Violet Evergarden, it's kind of, and even Amagi Brilliant Park, honestly, it keeps that style of like cute moe, and it's very consistent with all their shows like that.
Not just consistent style, though, consistent quality.
Yeah, and that's part of why it's a good idea to hire and have your own in-house animators, especially when their quality of work is really good.
Yeah, I'd honestly say that's probably the biggest problem with the anime industry today, is that there's so few in-house animators at these anime studios. Then I think more anime studios should actually go back to doing that, where you hire animators and it's like you stay here, you work for us, and just grow here. Don't just try and constantly look for work.
Anime just has a commitment issue with the animators.
Well, the anime studios seem to have a problem paying their animators, which is something else that KyoAni is kind of known for. They pay their animators, I hate to use this phrase because I don't actually know if it's applicable in Japan, but a living wage, where it makes it to where not only do they not have to constantly look for work, they're also being paid a really good rate to do the work that they do.
What's their trick?
Which
How
is something
do they
that
keep themselves afloat? Who are they selling under the table? And where
so
can
I
I
think
in on that
I think
market?
I think it's because that partially because they're not having to constantly go out and recruit new talent as freelancers, but they have so much of the stuff they do in house. Like I mentioned, they have the.
So my question is, if this is working so well for them, why isn't everyone else doing it? Why is it?
That's a
why
really
are
good
they
question.
the only one that can pull this off? What is their secrets? Reveal yourself, KyoAni. They made a contract with the devil, didn't they?
Maybe, I don't know. Not gonna comment on that, but I honestly don't know why more anime studios don't try to take this route. Maybe it has something to do with where they're located. Like a lot of anime studios are
Kyoto
in or around Tokyo.
It's a power spot, so
maybe I don't know. Maybe it does have something to do with that. Where since so many anime studios are located in and around Tokyo, even if you are a freelance animator that lives in and around Tokyo, it makes it easy to bounce between studios.
Oh wow! Kyoto's animation's just like, we're the only animation studio in town, bitch. You ain't got a choice. We bought out all our competitors. I see you, KyoAni. But that's not entirely true. Well, I guess if you live in Kyoto, but like, don't they have like a high-speed train to go between Kyoto and Tokyo?
Well,
it's not like you're like
like,
I know.
right, first of all,
you'd have to move probably, but
well, no, the high-speed train is also super expensive. It's like fucking 75 USD or 80 whatever CAD to have a ticket. It's not something like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hop on the fucking bullet train every day. It's like, no, you got to be fucking loaded to do that. I personally think that they're following the business model of it costs 10 times as much to sign a new customer than it is to please your old returning customers. And I think KyoAni, what they did is they've created their own niche of like art style and quality, and they want to keep that because the people who keep coming back, like everybody knows KyoAni, right? Everybody knows their animation style. Everybody has a certain level of expectation. So it's a lot easier for them to always have returning business. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why they have the money, and this goal plan works for them. Because for other studios, it's like they're fighting for scraps amongst the other publishers. But KyoAni was like, well, we don't have to because we've already cornered a certain market. You want super bubbly, fucking curvy moe anime blob? We got that. We got you, fam. You want some super good animation quality with some fucking top tier voice acting, top tier music? We got that on lock too, baby. Don't you worry. Every time we release something, we're gonna get the returns.
and
that's something that's hard for studios to get returns, because you never know if a show is going to be a flop or not, right? Especially in this climate. Like, there's some shows that just work really well. Like, look how big fucking Haruhi was. Haruhi was giant, you know? Lucky Star was a fucking hit. Nichijou was a hit as well.
Nichijou was an absolute flop, but after, it became like a cult hit, but it was an absolute flop, and they lost a ton of money on Nichijou.
Well, the reason why Nichijou was a flop was because they fucking sold it for too much per episode. Like, hey, you want 3 episodes? All right, that's going to be like $40. Like, what? $40 for 3 episodes?
Isn't
That's
that like a
ridiculous.
bargain in Japan?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I just know that one of the reasons Nichijou flopped was because it was just too fucking expensive at the time.
Well, and they also spent an enormous amount of money on the animation, which you can definitely tell by watching it because it looks gorgeous. But I don't know, like, so few people actually watched it when it was on TV. So few people bought like DVDs and Blu-rays after it came out. It was a flop initially, but now it's gotten to the point where it's, people have started to take notice of it, and I don't know how much more pronounced that was in Japan, but I know it was the case in the West.
So yeah, they don't, but majority of their shows are always hits, is what I'm saying. And when you have that level of like returning customers, you can afford to just have your own animators in-house all the time.
Yeah.
So you think it's
you're right.
more that they have a really great really consistent track record, so that they're able to have a great branding on their name?
Yeah. You slap
think about it.
You slap KyoAni on anything, man, and people are going to be checking it out. It doesn't even matter if the show is bad or not, because when you slap KyoAni on a label, you get shit like Violet Evergarden, right? Like, when we saw that at Anime Expo, like the first episode, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my god, this quality is so good. It's so high, and the show is so good. It's fucking great.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I ended up watching Myriad Colors Phantom World, that show was not great, but the only reason I sat through the whole thing was because it was KyoAni.
I mean,
Mayonnaise
it definitely
sama.
had
Mayonnaise sama.
It definitely had a
Mayonnaise.
KyoAni level animation.
Oh yeah, the animation was great. The story was just stupid.
Fucking the boob limbo. That was
That
great.
was the high point of the studio.
Literally. But yeah, and it's worth pointing out that there are other studios out there that have done what KyoAni does, or at least they have attempted to, but I don't think there's any other studio that's come close to perfecting what KyoAni does as much as they have.
So a lot of other studios that have like a distinctive style, what they do instead of what KyoAni does is that on the side they make these like crap fan service shows that like are really cheap to make and are completely not their style, and then like they do 3 of those crap cheap shows and then 1 of their distinctive shows, whereas KyoAni just consistently does distinctive on brand productions. And the other studios that do these trash fan service stuff in between their distinctive stuff is I mean, they do it allegedly for the money, but I guess that's not the best way to do it, because KyoAni seems to be, I feel like KyoAni is a much more stable production house than a lot of other anime studios that use their own, that like trash quick productions sort of business model.
Yeah, like quick money turnaround kind of things.
So
I think it's you see a ton of anime studios nowadays. Like they'll come out with one good thing, and then they'll do like 3 isekai shows in a row because that's what sells right now, and then they'll do another one of their regular shows after that.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, because KyoAni can just afford to do it. Like I said, I'd hazard a fucking, this is randomly just pulled out of my ass, but I'd say like 80% of their shows are money makers. So they can afford a flop or 2 here and there. It doesn't matter. Unlike Trigger, where like it's literally
every
50-50.
single one of their shows has to be a big seller because they're working on such thin margins.
Yeah, so that's I'd say that's the biggest difference between them and every other studio, because they already have the market, and again, most of their shows are good. Like even their not as great selling shows are still good, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then kind of building off of that, then you have anime studios that are like A1 or JC Staff who are so big, it's like they're almost too big to fail. Like they can come out with 18 shitty shows in a row, but they're still going to have money because they're just so big.
Well, Aniplex, I mean, A1, who used to be Aniplex, but now they're called A1 Studios. They're owned by, I forgot who they're owned by, but yeah, they're a super giant company, so they have to take the work that their fucking bosses hand them down. Like, hey, we signed this for 12 episodes, you're making it, and they don't really have a say. It's kind of just like, this is the work we have, and you're gonna do it. It doesn't matter. Fucking guilty or not guilty? It was I'll know zero. Fucking A1, we're doing it.
Yeah. I think that's the difference, where you have Kyoto Animation, which is a relatively small studio in comparison to some of these larger ones, and they have a staff who is basically contracted to them. They're not freelance, and they have a distinctive style that they've honed over a few years that they kind of have cornered the market on. So I'd say that's a pretty good winning combination for them.
Yeah, I'd say the working conditions for them are pretty good too.
That too. I think that they've instituted like I read this somewhere. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they've instituted like an overtime limit, so you can't actually work longer than a certain amount of hours.
Which is good because unlike other animation studios which slave away for 16 to 18 hours a day to meet a deadline, KyoAni will just be like, all right, well, we'll swap you out for someone else and we'll continue on the project and it'll get done. Like, they give themselves ample time.
And since most of their staff is not freelance, their staff has like medical insurance, so they can go if they ever have a problem. They can go.
And it's funny because a lot of the studios that do slave away have more frequent like delays in their animation. Like, oh no, we have to skip a week. Two episodes next week. Oh no, we have to stop halfway through the core. We'll do it next season. And KyoAni is pretty consistent, even though they don't like make their animators slave away.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they're so consistent that even after the arson attack, they released something.
Violet Evergarden movie?
No, they released the Violet Evergarden OVA right after the arson attack, and they're like, well, this ain't gonna stop us.
Well, because that was already done, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much done. They just had to, ship it off. But I mean, still, to just do that right after, it's like a big fuck you. It looks good for them that they're able to carry on for this. I'm assuming that some of their other stuff is going to be. Well, I think they've already announced that the Violet Evergarden movie is going to be slightly delayed for next year. And they're also working on a film adaptation or continuation of Free, which I don't think has a title yet.
I'd also like to point out that they only release like 1 or 2 shows a year.
If that. Sometimes they go a year or two without releasing anything.
Yeah, so it seems like they pick their projects pretty well as well. I feel like that might have a contributing factor, because if you're like JC Staff or A1, where you're literally cranking out 3 shows a season and shit, or
oh no, fuck it, you're JC Staff, you're cranking out 8 to 10 shows a season now. I don't know what is going on with JC Staff. Like, everyone just seems to be piling their shit on them. Like, there's a studio that'll start something and like, all right, second season, let's call JC Staff in.
Yeah, that's become kind of a meme at this point. JC Staff?
It has.
Like, Overlord Season 4? Madhouse? Nah, fuck
JC
that. JC
Staff.
Like,
final season of Attack on Titan, JC Staff.
Yeah. And again, I feel like that's just because JC Staff is just fighting for the scraps. Trying to get, well, these were big ticket items that people loved before, and they'll still watch it because it's like, this is the label, Attack on Titan, or fucking whatever, even though it's not going to be as quality. Was it JC Staff that picked up One Punch Man Season 2?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was, you know what? They tried their best. I give them that. It wasn't great.
I have the exact same opinion as you. They tried really hard.
No, you give one of those gold stars. It just says you tried on there.
Hey, I enjoyed Season 2, but the animation wasn't as good, obviously.
Yeah, and that's why I feel bad for these studios, because it's like you got these very toxic and vicious fans that are like, oh, your animation style sucks. I can't believe you've done this. Like, dude, it wasn't like they didn't try. Like, I remember watching season 2, and in like first episode of season 2, I was like, oh my god, it's so bad. But they did try, man. It wasn't just like, oh, we picked it up because we want to make money. No, it was shoved onto them, and they did their best. So fucking lay off, man.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not. You did it. That was a really good interpretation of toxic fandom.
Yeah, because I'm a toxic fucking fan. What? I'm just speaking from my heart.
I feel like we need to talk a little bit about Free though, because one of the things that KyoAni is kind of known for is I would guess you would say it's female oriented shows, like with its really cute styling and it's like moe uwu, and
It has
I can't believe we just said uwu on a recording.
It has a lot of shows like Air and Canon and Clanad that are shoujo, and if they're not shoujo, there's a lot of characters that are main characters that are female or all female cast characters, and then we have Free, which is basically they're male characters, but I mean the show is male fan service for women. So for me at least, I definitely see Kyo Animation as a female-oriented studio that tries to cater primarily to female interests. And they also allegedly hire a lot of female animators, which I can definitely see. They definitely have like a different atmosphere to their shows. I don't know if this is because of the animation or the writing, but a lot of other studios that animate female characters, they feel very tokenistic and they feel very sexualized, whereas a lot of the Kyo Animation women female characters, they don't feel super sexualized most of the time, and they just feel like normal characters, which is like all I'm asking for from female characters. Just want them to be normal. I don't need them to be like hypersexual sex objects 24/7. But yeah, that's something that KyoAni definitely brings to the table.
So, with the exception of like Phantom World, where Mayonnaise-sama was extremely
Literally just bouncy tits.
She's just literally bouncy tits. They do use a lot of they do a lot of a lot of big titty, nice curvy anime girls. So it's kind of when you think about their show.
Okay,
wait, who else is a big titty?
I don't think he necessarily means big titty, but I will say the curvy, like, so one thing, especially like I want to say from like 2008, 2009 through probably now, one thing that KyoAni does with its like female character designs, there's so many female characters that have what I like to call baby making hips, where it's like they're hips that are just slightly wider than the shoulders. K-On is a really good example of that.
Baby making hips, they look like they're 12.
When has that ever stopped anybody?
Oh my god.
Hello, FBI?
What's the FBI do?
But that's what I mean. Like, they, for a studio that, it's weird because it's like they don't sexualize them, but they do have that distinct, like, look at Rika from Love Chunibyo, she's thick, senpai, and then look at Tamako.
Really?
Because,
like,
Market.
okay, well, to me, I don't see Rika's character design as sexual at all. I don't know, but just personally.
They're not sexualized, but they are drawn very, like, curvy.
You're curvy, but not sexualized.
It's up in the moe factor is what I'm trying to get at, which is what they love doing.
Which is very, like, cutesy, which, I mean, for a Western audience, that would be considered feminine, like female-oriented, but, like, in Japan, like, it's okay for men to be into cutesy stuff, like, it's socially accepted. So, I guess that's, like, but, like, I feel that...
Wait, so I'm not allowed to be into cute stuff?
I don't, like, it's not socially acceptable in the West.
How dare you?
Well, it's just what it is. But
I mean, I see what you're saying, but you're right. Like, this style, this overly moe blob style, is what sells in Japan, right? A lot of fans are actually guys, even though these shows are actually really good and they have strong female leads in some of them. Like, in Beyond the Boundary, the main character is a guy and it's from a guy's perspective, but his counterpart is the female lead and she's a strong character. And it's kind of like that for a lot of their shows. Like in in Canon, Air, and Clannad, they're based around the perspective of a guy. But they develop the characters of all the female characters instead of just the guy, which is really good because first and foremost, these are all harem, by the way.
Yeah, well, they're all based on harem visual novels.
Yeah, but it does a really good job at developing the female characters, which makes it feel more realistic because it's like, hey, you know, women aren't just objects. They're actual people. They have personalities.
Well, one thing that Clannad does, I would say a little bit better than the other two that you mentioned, is that it has, first of all, Clannad has probably the biggest cast of all of those. But it develops all of the characters around the main character who is a male way better than they do the male character, in my opinion. Like, you know so much more about the female characters than you know about the male main character.
Yeah, like, in Haruhi, it's the same way. Like, all the female characters are a lot more interesting than Kyon is, and they're kind of...
I don't even know Kyon's real name.
I don't even... What? He has a name? What? Isn't he just Kyon?
That's not his name. No, that's not his name. He says at the very beginning that that's a nickname, but no one ever says his real name.
Oh, shit. I always thought it was Kyon. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it just seems like this is a great way to sell your shit. Create an actual decent story, fill it in with cute looking girls, and develop these characters. Who would have thunk that makes a good fucking show?
Well, yeah. And the whole reason I brought up Free in the first place was because KyoAni took this concept, which was originally just a tech demonstration. They said, hey, look, we got this really cool new way to animate water to be kind of very realistic. And they just showed it off. And it was like, I think it was like a 5 or a 10 minute presentation that just, they showed off water in like a pool in the ocean and stuff like that. And it was just this new concept that they had for animating water. And everyone, and then I think there were like maybe 1 or 2 really cute, like, male swimmer characters that they threw in there just to show how the animation worked with characters in it, and everyone's like, you should build a show around that.
and
they did.
I don't think Free is very it's obviously made for females, right? For the Fujoshis, quite obviously.
Yeah.
They even have an insert character who's super into muscles, who doesn't even play a big part in the series. She's kind of just there.
No, she just had to go, ooh,
yeah,
muscles.
Like, oh my god, look at his bicep, his abs, oh my gosh. But, I mean, the characters are well developed even in that show. Like, it's not just limited to the female characters in their shows. KyoAni seems to understand that if we want a good show, we need to actually flesh out all of our characters when we introduce them, so it makes you like them even more. Because it's not just selling the tits and the ass, you know, as I would say. They're not just selling the tits and the ass to the industry. They've got more to it.
Yeah, they've got a great art style and a great animation, but they don't rely on it. They also develop their characters. So they've got the full package.
And they also like to develop the people that make this stuff. And I think that's probably the big thing that KyoAni does better than anybody else, is that they actually like to take new talent and help develop them over the course of their career. A great example of that is the creator of, well, not the creator of K-On!, but the director who worked on K-On!, Naoko Yamada. Like, she started off, she was like really, really young for a director when she did K-On!, and someone at Kyoto Animation saw potential for her because she was just like a key animator who had just been biding her time at Kyoto Animation, and someone there in the higher up saw some potential and was like, hey, we just licensed this manga called K-On!, you're gonna direct it. It's like, oh, okay. And it turned out really, really well. I mean, you ask just about anyone in Japan, they might actually tell you that K-On! Is one of the best anime adaptations ever made, and they've stuck with her. I mean, she's still around. She's still around at the studio, still working on stuff, and it just shows that Kyoto Animation has this like commitment to developing talent, not just hiring talent.
They love to groom.
That didn't sound creepy at all. But I mean, it's one of the things that you just don't see that at so many other studios. It's because so many of the animators work freelance. That's all I got. There was nothing else to that story. I just wanted to...
I mean, what else can be said about KyoAni other than overall, it's a great studio. Great quality.
They treat their people well.
And it's just, they're one of the very well-known studios. I mean, I can't really think of any other studio that you can just identify based off of just watching like an OP or an ED or just looking at one character. I'm like, oh yeah, that's KyoAni. Like, they're so distinctive in their industry that they've cornered their own market, and that's why they're so successful, and that's why people love them so much, and we have so many returning viewers. Like, again, I inadvertently watched almost all of the KyoAni shows, and it wasn't even because I knew they were KyoAni. It was just because, oh yeah, this is a good show.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. Then you have beautiful stuff like Violet Evergarden that gets made. That's something else that KyoAni has done that I don't think we've really talked about. They are so good at adapting really emotional stories.
Yeah, I'd say like 50% of their stuff is pretty
emotionally heavy.
Yeah. Violet Evergarden was fucking tough.
That was a tough thing to get. I mean, it's great. It's good in that way, but it's really tough to get through. Clannad, and especially After Story, holy fuck.
I feel like the weakest point of KyoAni was when they made Hyoka. I think that was a pretty weak show.
Wait,
this ought to be good because I think Show actually likes Hyoka.
That's my favorite show from the studio.
What I meant by that is like, it seems like they didn't really pursue their strengths on Hyoka with their animation, because I feel KyoAni's I'd say their major strength is the animation, right, and the cutesy like bubbly moe style. But Hyoka is a show where it kind of has that, which Tanda, sure, but it's more about the story, and the story is really good too. They're not just excellent at animating; they're also really good at expanding stories.
So that's what I meant.
Show. What?
So what was the weak part?
No, I was saying they didn't expand on their strengths, which is the animation with the overly cutesy moe thing. That was one of their.
I think he's saying that they did a good job adapting the story. They didn't do a good job, animating it as they did other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I mean, they have a lot of other slice of life stuff that isn't like overly animated.
Yeah, but like something like Tamako Market, which is just it's a pretty boring slice of life in my opinion. It's not that funny, but the main selling point of Tamako Market was how cute it was, which is one of KyoAni's strong points. But they didn't use that. Cute. It was all right. I thought the story was a lot better than the animation. Like, it wasn't as cute as, I don't know, Haruhi is, or like Chunibyo was, or even Free. Free was even more beautiful.
Well, like, yeah, the cuteness was not the central aspect, but the story was definitely the central aspect. But the animation, I think the animation was still there, and the style was definitely still there. And that's
what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they didn't rely on just animation for Hyoka, and it still turned out great.
That's stupid. Because they have a lot of stuff that they don't rely just on the animation, like Sound Euphonium. It's like okay animation, but it's more about like the characters.
Or a silent voice.
Or even Harvey.
I've never seen Sound Euphonium, so I don't really know.
Okay. Well.
You're not one for Yuri bait, are you?
Is that show about Yuri? Is that what it is?
According to the fans,
it's definitely
and according
baity.
To me, it is about Yuri bait.
But the creator of it, it's like, it's not gonna happen, guys. Shut up.
The creator is lying to his or her fans and himself/herself, because I don't know who this person is.
The people really want them to hook up, but it's not gonna happen. It would be better if they did. Like, they just need like a fucking raunchy sex scene, and no, don't do that.
God.
You know what? Get out of your headcanon, you filthy, filthy animals.
If you watched Sound Euphonium, you would agree with me and everyone else.
I'm probably never gonna watch Sound Euphonium. Just because it's KyoAni doesn't mean I'm gonna watch it.
What did you watch? Did you watch that show Surune?
Yeah.
Was it something kind of akin to Sound Euphonium in that way, where it's like they're more so after the like emotional story aspect than the animation? Because I didn't watch that last year.
I mean, the animation was good. It wasn't like over the top like Free or I assume Violet Evergarden, but I mean, it's more about like the slice of life cutesy. That's what I would say the focus of this show is.
Okay.
Is Tsurune the archery boys one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, of course.
What?
Nothing. Don't worry about
Good lord.
it. It just seems like you only care about Tsurune because it's fan service for boys.
I feel like you only care about KyoAni because it's fan service for girls.
I mean, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
So, exactly.
This coming from someone who has never seen Violet Evergarden.
John?
What?
No, from you, show.
Wait, what does that have to do with fan service for boys?
Yeah. What does that even mean, Alex? I'm confused too now.
Never mind.
I think Violet Evergarden's a really good show. You should definitely watch it, show.
No.
Yeah.
No?
I need more.
You don't care about
I don't like the character design.
Is it the metal hands?
It's the Saber knockoff.
Oh my god.
She doesn't look anything like Saber.
She's
Except
blonde.
maybe the hair.
That's all.
Well, the hair is almost the exact same color.
She's
but that's
blonde,
about
that's
it.
all. That's all. That's
Yeah,
why
you should
watch
listen
it.
to our you have listened to our Vinland Saga cast where I'm like, this is a blonde character, this is a blonde character, they're all the same.
I mean, it makes
So
sense
many
for
people in
Vinland
Vinland
though.
Saga are very blonde.
Well, that's because they're Nordic. That's like their racial trait, man.
I know. I'm just saying it makes it difficult to tell the characters apart.
Oh, that means that's bad. It means it's a bad show with bad writing.
I can't count the number of times that Sho has said Askeladd when he means Thorfinn.
Whatever, they're both blonde people.
Askeladd's not blonde.
Anyway.
He's old.
What?
What? What's that supposed to mean?
Hold on. Now I'm confused. Who the fuck's Askeladd? Is he not the old guy?
Yeah, he is the older
Wait,
blonde person.
who-
Yes, we're
how-
not
it
talking
depends on how you
about
define
fucking Vinland
old.
Saga.
Anyways.
Anyway, that's all I got for KyoAni. It's a good studio.
Yeah.
It's cute. Go watch their shows. Support them, please.
Yes, please.
Chunibyo, I want an epilogue, please, where they bang and have kids. I want to see that.
Did you? Oh, have you not seen the movie?
No, it didn't release in theaters around me.
Do they bang and have
Oh,
kids?
that's a shame.
Do they bang and
well,
have
it didn't
kids?
bang because that's clearly not KyoAni's style. I could never imagine KyoAni animating a sex scene.
Yeah, the hardest they ever go is a kiss or holding hands, you know?
But there's development there. That's I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but if you like the series, you should definitely watch the movie.
I just completely forgot about the movie, not gonna lie. I've got the attention span of a fucking goldfish, man. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, John's pretty much hit it on the head. Distinctive style, the way they treat their animators, they're good shit. Definitely support them as much as you can, especially after what happened earlier this year,
All right.
which I didn't really want to talk about.
Enough of sucking KyoAni's dick. Now here comes the bombshell where I discuss all the sexual harassment that's in the studio, all the tax evasion, oh shit, wait, that's a different studio. Hold on now.
Wait, that's Ufotable.
Yeah, I'd be very disappointed to hear any bad news about KyoAni because it seems like they're such an upstanding studio.
It'd be like finding out one of your favorite voice actors from the mid-2000s is just a whoremongering slut. Oh wait, that kind of happened.
All right. Any closing thoughts on KyoAni? Anyone else?
I love them. I mean, I will always love them, even if they stop making stuff. I'm going to love them because they're KyoAni. KyoAni is KyoAni. Fun things are fun.
Make more cute boy shows because I will watch them. I love Tsurune. Fuck John.
Make more cute girl shows because I love those. Make more just cute shows in general, KyoAni.
Also, I would like to say Nichijou is the best anime comedy ever made.
I would say Danshi no Kokosei Nichijou.
Okay, yeah. Daily Lives of High School was. Oh, could you imagine a remake of that being done by KyoAni though?
I kind of like it with
I'd watch
Sunrise
that.
though. It makes more sense with Sunrise because they use the same sound effects, and that's what's funny about it.
Anyway, thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or if you have ideas for topics you would like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, Moe Blobs.
Moe Kyun.
Ooh.
Ooh, no, it's Moe Kyun, man. Moe Kyun.
Moe Kid. God, I miss Smooky's eyebrows.
Gross.
Come on.